two things that I've noticed about you when I was doing some of my research. I was able to notice that you have a lot of range as an actress. You have range. Some of us can only, you know what I'm talking about. There's some of, not even us, some actors can only do one role, like one thing. They do one thing well, and that's what they do, and they live there, which is fine. Because if that gets the bills paid and your success, great. I'm not mad at that. But when did you know that you wanted to do more, that you wanted to be performing, that you had this talent as an actress, and that you were able to affect people with your talent?
I went to performing arts school when I was younger, and I was one of those kids who was always performing in some capacity, singing, dancing, drama, acting, all of that. And I remember at a young age looking up to the likes of like a Jamie Foxx has always been on my radar as like, he to me represents the epitome of being the ultimate entertainer, because no one's allowed him to be in one box. Like you would think, because he started off in stand-up comedy and started off in sketch, but then he went to have his own sitcom, and then he's done, huge theater. He's done music. He's done it all. And I come from that training where you had to be a triple threat to even like attend this performing arts school, right? So we were expected to be able to have multiple disciplines. So it's just kind of jumping out there, like with the comedy that I tried when I first got to LA, and then a lot of the auditions, I think a lot of it had to do with just like, as a Black woman, that was what the roles were for. A lot of it was, you're the best friend, you're the, you fit in these certain categories. And then as the industry has started opening up, because what's amazing now, I look to my left and my right, all of my friends are working, okay? Everybody's working. We're not all clawing at the same 7 roles in 10 films, right? But I think it lends itself to the opportunities I've had to jump out there and to not be afraid and to just go for it. Because as an artist, you're trained in all aspects. I can jump up and do like some Shakespeare if I needed to, but you're not always given the opportunity to perform those, especially as a minority actor, right? So I think a lot of that just came from over the years, and a lot of people have been noticing that and just saying like, yo, girl, you got range, because we've had the chance to see you in something as broad as sketch comedy, and then something as maybe serious as like a Luke Cage, or, playing Whitney Houston or whatever. So I have been blessed. I know it is a blessing. I do not take it for granted. And I just try to make sure that I give my best to each role, and whatever it takes. And I prayed about doing some comedy, because I was like, what y'all not gonna do is pigeonhole me and just have me doing all the dramas. We're not gonna do all of the thespian drama. I want to laugh. I like to laugh.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you say Jamie Foxx, because I had Brisha on the podcast and she said the same thing.
Oh, everybody be biting me now. I've been saying it for years on season.
Okay, she must have stole that from you.
But she's actually had a chance to work with Jamie Foxx. She knows Jamie Foxx.
I would think, and this is what I am encouraged by, I would think that it would be a particular woman that you saw and you said,
there's definitely a lot of women that I find, growing up that were inspirational, but, just like Brisha, she's a singer, dancer, actor as well. So that's why somebody like a Jamie Foxx, and again, it goes back to a man getting a different opportunity than a woman will get. So a lot of my comedic, role models are men, because that's just how the game rolls, right? You know what I mean? Even when you look at the likes of like all of the sketch comedy shows that, you try to go back and say, who were my inspirations? And of course, the amazing Kim Wayans. But then on that list, you've got damn near the whole cast of, In Living Color. Yes. And it's majority men. Yeah. So with the exception of like, your Whoopi Goldbergs, who like kicked down the door, and she was able, that's another person who was able to do drama, like a little Color Purple, and then go out and do Sister Act and be amazing at it. So like Whoopi Goldberg is also like, she's up there. She just doesn't sing that I know of.
Now, wait, because you're blowing my mind, and I'm not, as you well know, I'm no actress. So in my world, I'm looking, and you're correct. They give the men, Black men specifically, those opportunities to live in these worlds, because maybe they don't think Black women can do that. Because I think of a lot of comedic white actresses who can do drama and then do comedy. I think of Sandra Bullock. I think of
love her.
Yeah, not so much as Jennifer Aniston. She lives in the rom-com space, maybe, if I'm wrong or not, but I'm thinking about that. I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't mind giving her that role.
Julia Roberts.
Julie, oh my God. Yeah, yeah. I I want to see what is our Black version of Julia Roberts or Sandra Bullock as a Black
Me.
woman?
No, I'm teasing. But no, seriously,
No, you're not
those are
teasing.
my
We
role
claim
models.
it.
But again, those are my role models. A lot of them did not look like me. They were either white women, white men, or Black men, right? As far as the masses, again, you can pluck out a few, like like I said, the ultimate, who is Whoopi Goldberg. But then we'd skip another 5 or 10 years till you get another someone's even close to that, right?
Yeah.
So you don't notice and pay that attention until like you're really studying your craft and you're in it, and you're out supporting your peers. And I remember, what was it? It was like Inception. It was one of those movies I was watching, and there was a scene where they were kind of floating in the hallway, and it was just like, yo, this movie is so bananas.
Yes.
I will never get and the thing was, I was watching thinking, I will never get an opportunity to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is exclusive to that club of, that type of an actor. So I feel like, luckily, like I said, the industry has paid attention to not just putting us in front of the camera, but also behind the camera, because that's where it starts. How could why would a white male, I expect him to be able to tell my story? We need us in the room. And that's what's so amazing about our, for shows like our sketch show, like we are fully represented.
And it's such a beautiful thing to see. So I want to go back. You went to a performing arts school, you said, but then you also graduated with honors from Howard's, right? From Howard University?
I did.
So did you ever hesitate in deciding what school you wanted to go to based on the type of work you wanted to get?
Not at all. I always knew I wanted to go to an HSBCU. And HBCU, what did I just say? I'm mixing my bank up with,
all the same.
He was like, that's interesting.
I knew what you were saying.
Yeah. So I've always wanted to go to an HBCU, and when the opportunity came, I was like, I'm out of here. And I actually had a partial scholarship to Ohio State, but I was like, I wanted to get out of the state of Ohio and spread my wings, right? It was this kind of like, culturally, I felt like I needed that. And when I went to DC, I felt like it was an amazing experience. And it was the right decision. Not only just the campus itself, of being able to walk around and see these beautiful Black men and women just owning their dreadlocks, their natural hair, their style, their swag, their voice, their whatever. And seeing the diversity, the diaspora of Blackness on one campus, and then being able to step out in a city like DC and being able to go to like a U Street or a 16th Street or whatever, and like get this cultural experience of different foods and people. And growing up in the Midwest, it was like black and white. That's all we had. And it was like anything else, So it was just great to kind of get out and see the world in a different way. And I think as an artist, I needed that. Like I observe people. I take all of that information in. I feel like every experience in your life, at least as an actor, I feel like, because that's the only thing I can speak on. Yeah, it goes into the threads and the fibers of who you are, and you're able to pull from that in some way. And had I stayed in one city, in one state my entire life, for one, it would be pretty damn hard to get a career that, all the jobs are on the East and West Coast, but I would have less experiences because I'd have lived less life potentially,
Yeah. And what I always admire, because you have to have some type of, not even some type, a very strong intestinal fortitude is the word that I'll use when you decide that acting is what I want to do, especially when you move to LA, because everybody's an actor. If they're waiting on you, they're an actor, right? There's just this, that cliche. Well, wait, I'm an actor. What restaurant do you work at? Yeah. And you see people kind of, when they don't know what you do or they haven't seen you anything, they kind of glaze over, and that can affect your spirit, and that can affect your self-esteem. And do I really want to do this? Because there's probably more, and you have been blessed, but there's probably more no's than yeses, or you probably missed out on roles that you knew were yours and should have been yours, but was given to someone else. When you first got going, what were you gonna say?
And I'll say this, any role that I didn't get, it wasn't for me.
Amen.
It took a moment to get there, because we'll say these little quotes and these little sayings that make us feel good. But I remember the moment I booked Rosewood and the flood of emotions that went over me. One, I was done with pilot season, honey. I didn't have to go out for another single audition. But two, it hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, because I had tests for so many other shows that same, like within that same week or two.
Yeah.
And it hit me. I said, oh, this was mine. This had mine.
That was yours.
Them other ones, they just wasn't for me.
That wasn't yours.
And that's why I tell actors all the time, when you go into an audition, win the room. Fuck the role, win the room. Oops, can I cuss? Sorry.
You can. Yes, you can. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So you want to win the room because your job is to go in there, perform, and make fans of the casting directors, the producers, the directors, who's ever watching that. Because in case that role is not for you, you still got to show up and do your job.
That's right.
And you want them to work and find what is right for you eventually, right? You want to have that reputation of being the actor that always goes in, shows up and shows out. And if you don't feel that you can do the justice, say no. There's power in saying no, first of all. And also, your first impression, you never get that back. So if you wasn't ready, don't do that.